Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video on reverse percentages. Quite often we work out a percentage of an amount, and being able to go backwards and find that original value is what we call reverse percentages. So being able to find what that original quantity was. So here we've got a question, and our question says 40% of a number is 32. What is the number? So we know 40% of a certain number is 32, and we need to find what that number was. So let's write that down. 40% of our number is equal to 32. Now we want to find our number, and our number is 100%. It's what we started with. So we've got 40%. If we divide both of these by 40, we will find 1%. So 1% is, so dividing by 40 and dividing by 40, well, 32 divided by 40 is equal to 0.8. So we know that 1% of our number is equal to 0.8. Now if we multiply both of these by 100, we will find 100% of our number. So multiplying by 100 and multiplying by 100, we will get 100% of our number, and 0.8 times 100 is equal to 80. So our number that we started with was 80. And let's just check it. We want to find 40% of it. So 10% of 80 is 8, and multiply that by 4 is 32. So our starting number was 80. Let's have a look at our next question. So our next question says, David's pay increases by 20% to £10.80 an hour. What was his pay before the increase? So David's pay has gone up by 20%. So it was 100% and it's gone up by 20%. So it's now 120%. So if David's pay had gone up by 19%, it'd be 119%. If it gone up by 15%, it'd be 115%. If it gone up by 2%, it'd be 102%. If David's pay had actually gone down by 5%, if it decreased by 5%, it'd be 95%. But we know it's gone up by 20%, so we know 120% is going to be equal to £10.80. And we want to find 100%. So let's find our 1% and then find our 100%. So let's divide by 120. So 120% divided by 120 is 1%. And if we divide £10.80 by 120, we get that's equal to 0.09 pounds or 9 pence. And we want to find our number, we want to find our 100%. So if we multiply by 100 and multiply by 100, we will find what David's pay was. So 100% is equal to £9. So David's pay before the increase was £9. Okay, let's have a look at another question. So our next question says, an oil tank has a leak and loses 35% of its contents. There is now 481 litres of oil in the tank. How much oil was in the tank before the leak? So the tank at the beginning had 100% of its oil and it loses 35%. So if we take 35 away from 100, we will get 65%. So the oil tank now has 65% of the oil, so 65%. And we know that's equal to 481 litres. So if we divide by 65, we will find what 1% is, and then we can find 100%. So if we divide by 65, we'll find that 1% is equal to 7.4 litres. And then if we times by 100, we'll find that 100% is equal to 740 litres. So how much oil was in the tank before the leak? 740 litres. Okay, let's have a look at one more example. So our next question says, the Isle of Wight is an island which forms part of England, and the area, the land area of the Isle of Wight is 390 square kilometres, and this area is 0.3% of the total area of England. What is the total area of England? So we know that 0.3% is equal to 390 square kilometres. Now if we divide by 0.3, we'll find 1%. So we're going to divide by 0.3 and we're going to divide by 0.3. 0.3% divided by 0.3 will be 1%. And 390 divided by 0.3 is equal to 1,300 square kilometres. Now we'll find 1%, we want to find 100%, so let's times by 100. And when we times by 100, we'll find the area of England, the total land area of England. So 100% is equal to 130,000 square kilometres. So the total area of England is 130,000 square kilometres. Okay, so that's how you answer reverse percentages questions. You can find 1% and then find 100%. So we're going to finish off the video with a bit of bonus material, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do those 4 questions again by using a slightly different technique using multipliers. And if you've heard of compound interest and you've used multipliers for that, then this technique should be quite straightforward. Okay, so our first question was 40% of a number is equal to 32. What was the number? So if you've studied multipliers, you should know that if you times by 0.4, you can find 40% of a number. That's the multiplier. So if we had our starting number, our y, and we multiply it by 0.4, we'll find 40% of our number, which is equal to 32. So if we then want to find what our number was to begin with, we could just divide by our multiplier. So we could divide by that 0.4. And if you just divide 32 by 0.4 in your calculator, you'll get that's equal to 80. And as you can see, our first answer was 80. Okay, so if you divide by the multiplier that you would have used, then that will tell you your answer. So let's have a look at our next question. So our next question was, David's pay increased by 20% to £10.80 an hour. What was his pay before the increase? So if you want to increase by 20%, your multiplier would have been 1.2. You'd multiply by 1.2 to increase by 20%. So if you just divide by 1.2, you can then find your answer. You'll find what the original was. So £10.80 divided by 1.2 was 9, and our answer was 9. Okay, our next question. An oil tank has a leak and loses 35% of its contents. So a 35% decrease is a multiplier where you would multiply by 0.65. Whenever you decrease, it's going to be less than 1, so it's going to be 0.65. So that'd be how you decrease by 35%. So if you divide your 481 by 0.65, you would have found that there was 740 litres in the tank. And finally, in our last question, we knew that the area of the Isle of Wight was 0.3%. So to find 0.3%, you would multiply by 0.003. So if you just divide your 390 by that 0.003, you would find the total area of England. So on a calculator paper, you could have just divided by the multiplier that would have been used, and that would tell you your original.